This picture shows that an unidentified man, accompanied by a young boy and girl, walks carefully through the rubble of a bombed-out building in Berlin, sometime in the late 1940s or early 1950s. In his arms, he carries a care package, part of the Cooperative for American Remittances to Europe program, which delivered food and supplies to families across war-torn Europe. The image captures a poignant moment of hope and relief amid the ruins, reflecting the struggles of post-war recovery and the power of humanitarian aid. This picture shows that a young boy, with his dog beside him, stands in tears outside his bombed home in Hendon, London, on May 16, 1941. The photo captures the emotional toll of the German air raids during World War II, as families faced destruction and loss during the Blitz. His expression reflects the heartbreak experienced by many civilians in wartime Britain. This picture shows that British troops arrived at a London railway station, while, in contrast, children were being evacuated to the countryside during the Blitz in 1940. It highlights the split reality of wartime Britain, soldiers heading to the front lines as young civilians were sent away for safety. This picture shows that in November 1942, during World War II, children and families in Chicago, Illinois, brought scrap rubber, metal, and paper to the Office of Civilian Defense Headquarters. It captures a moment of American home front unity, where citizens of all ages contributed to the war effort through vital material collection. This picture shows that in January 1920, Russian refugees gathered at Tiflis railway station during the Russian Civil War. Families, burdened with belongings, waited in uncertainty, their faces marked by exhaustion, hope, and the hardship of displacement. This picture shows that in October 1921, Americans handed out food from a relief train during the Russian famine. Amid the chaos of civil war, desperate families gathered for survival, highlighting a rare moment of hope in a time of hunger and despair. This picture shows that in October 1921, famine-stricken refugee children in Russia faced the brutal toll of the Civil War. Their thin frames and hollow eyes reflect the hunger, fear, and loss that marked their daily struggle for survival. This picture shows that in 1921, a family in Russia's Volga region suffered deeply from famine during the Russian Civil War. Entire communities faced starvation as crops failed and aid was scarce, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands across the area. This picture shows that in November 1948, undernourished children were being flown out of Berlin during the Soviet blockade. As part of the Berlin airlift, Allied forces evacuated vulnerable civilians to safer areas while supplying the besieged city with food, fuel, and medicine by air. This picture shows that on 15 July 1948, German civilians were flown into the British sector of Berlin to escape the Soviet blockade. During the early stages of the Berlin airlift, Western allies used aircraft not only to deliver essential supplies, but also to evacuate those most vulnerable from the hardships imposed by the blockade. This picture shows that during the Berlin airlift, even the families of airlift workers faced rationing and hardship. A German worker's wife is seen feeding children perched on a makeshift bed, each clutching a precious slice of dark bread with margarine. A modest but vital ration in the midst of political tension and scarcity. This picture shows that even in the ruins of post-war Berlin, hope soared with every plane. A group of German children stand atop a pile of building rubble, cheering as a U.S. cargo aircraft passes overhead. A lifeline from the sky during the Berlin airlift that brought not just food, but moments of joy, and wonder. This picture shows that war does not pause for childhood. Taken on the 9th of June, 1951, during the Korean War, it captures a young girl carrying her baby brother on her back as she walks past a stalled M-26 Pershing tank in Haeungju, Korea. Amid the machinery of conflict, the quiet resilience of children endures. This picture shows that even after intense battles, childhood carries on amid the ruins. Taken on May 29, 1951, it features South Korean orphans posing on a street in Seoul during the Korean War. Just 2 months earlier, UN forces had recaptured the city from the Korean People's Army and the Chinese People's Liberation Army after fierce fighting. This picture shows that war often draws in even the youngest into its grasp. On September 18, 1950, 2 North Korean boys, serving as soldiers, are seen being interrogated by a U.S. serviceman after their capture in the Sindang-dong area by the 389th Infantry Regiment. This picture shows that war leaves civilians to bear the burden of displacement. During the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, U.S. Army soldiers march past Korean women and children, who carry their belongings as they flee from conflict. This picture shows that the Korean War caused severe injuries and chaos on the battlefield. An injured man lies on a makeshift stretcher after the American invasion and capture of Incheon in September 1950. Highlighting the harsh realities faced by soldiers during the conflict. This picture shows that after the American forces captured the important port of Incheon during the Korean War, soldiers patrolled the streets to maintain control. An American soldier is seen walking while a young Korean child watches him, capturing a moment of war's impact on civilians in 1950. This picture shows that refugees returned to Malaga on February 16, 1937, after the city was taken over by nationalist forces during the Spanish Civil War. It captures the hardships faced by civilians amid the conflict and their attempt to rebuild life in a war-torn city. This picture shows that on January 13, 1970, the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafra War, was nearing its end after 30 months of brutal conflict. The war caused immense suffering and deprivation to hundreds of thousands of men, women, children, and the elderly across Nigeria. This picture shows that on January 13, 1970, the Nigerian Civil War, lasting 30 months, was coming to an end. The conflict brought great misery and hardship to hundreds of thousands of Nigerians, including men, women, children, and the elderly. This picture shows that the siege of Sarajevo, Bosnia, and Herzegovina's capital lasted from 1992 to 1996 for a total of 1,425 days. It was the longest siege of a capital city in modern warfare history, causing the deaths of 13,952 people, including 5,434 civilians and countless children. This picture shows refugees at the railway station in Bilbao in June 1937 during the Spanish Civil War. They are returning to the city after it was captured by Franco's nationalist forces, marking a difficult time of displacement and conflict. This picture shows a group of escaped slaves standing outside a cabin in 1861. They were called contrabands, after Union General Benjamin Butler declared that any slaves in Union-controlled land would be considered contraband property during the Civil War. This picture shows that during World War II, children were issued gas masks to protect them from potential chemical attacks. These small masks symbolized the widespread fear and preparedness that touched even the youngest civilians amid the global conflict. This picture shows that British GI war brides and their children took part in a lifeboat drill aboard the Queen Mary, as they prepared to travel to America at the end of World War II. The image captures a moment of transition, hope, and new beginnings for families separated by war. This picture shows that during World War II, school children were evacuated from cities to safer countryside areas to protect them from bombing raids. These young evacuees faced sudden upheaval, but found refuge far from the dangers of war. This picture shows that during World War II, children played amidst the ruins of bombed London streets. Using an upturned dustbin and a plank of wood, they made a seesaw, finding moments of joy and resilience despite the devastation surrounding them. This picture shows that in 1945, Soviet Red Army filmmakers documented the liberation of Auschwitz, capturing haunting scenes of the concentration camp in Poland. Their footage revealed the horrors uncovered and helped expose the full scale of Nazi atrocities to the world. This picture shows that in 1914, just days after World War I began, Dutch soldiers mobilized near the Vijver in The Hague. Two young boys in the foreground watch as the army prepared to defend their neutral country amid the growing conflict in Europe. This picture shows that on March 20th, 2024, a child was carefully loaded into a truck in Joda, South Sudan, as families fled the violence of war in neighboring Sudan. The scene reflects the urgent struggle of refugees seeking safety across a dangerous border. This picture shows that around 1918, members of the Boy Scouts of America promoted the sale of Liberty bonds in New York. Their efforts supported the Allied war effort during World War I, reflecting the patriotic spirit and community involvement on the home front. This picture shows that in August 1918, refugee children attended Mass on Assumption Day at Granval, a large estate near Paris. Captured by Louis Wickes Hine, the image reflects the resilience and faith of those displaced by World War I amid ongoing hardships. This picture shows that during World War I, refugee children attended makeshift schools to continue their education despite displacement. These classrooms offered hope and stability amid the chaos of war and upheaval. This picture shows that around 1917, a woman stands with her hands on a child's shoulders as they face the ruins of their home in Lens, France. The image captures the devastation of World War I and the enduring strength of families amid destruction. This picture shows that around 1941, civilians in Kingston-on-Thames took part in a gas exercise using tear gas. The drill prepared residents for possible chemical attacks during World War II, reflecting the era's fears and emphasis on civil defense. This picture shows that during World War II, school children wore gas masks for the first time, as part of preparations against possible chemical attacks. Their cautious expressions reveal the fear and uncertainty faced by the youngest civilians during wartime. This picture shows that in October 1939, children in Birmingham received gas masks as part of a civil defense effort during World War II. The distribution aimed to protect civilians from potential chemical attacks amid growing fears at the war's outbreak. This picture shows that around 1940, children in London wore their gas masks while skipping in a park near their temporary homes on England's south coast. Despite wartime fears, they found moments of play and normalcy amid the precautions. This picture shows that on June 4, 1938, German school children stood in line wearing gas masks. The image reflects growing tensions in Europe and the preparation of civilians, including children, for potential chemical warfare before World War II. This picture shows that on February 19, 1968, a group of Vietnamese refugees crossed a bridge over the Perfume River. Their journey reflects the hardships faced by countless civilians fleeing conflict during the Vietnam War. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, a U.S. soldier lit cigarettes for Montagnard children. The moment captures a complex and unusual interaction between American troops and indigenous communities amid the conflict. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, scenes like this captured the struggles, resilience, and daily life of those caught in the long and brutal conflict that shaped Southeast Asia's history. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, a Vietnamese woman and children emerged cautiously from a hidden underground hole. The image reflects the harsh realities civilians faced, seeking shelter from violence amid the ongoing conflict. This picture shows that U.S. 1st Cavalry infantrymen huddled a group of frightened South Vietnamese children into a ditch to shield them from sniper fire. The scene, just south of Da Nang, reveals the chaos and dangers civilians faced amid intense Vietnam War battles. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, Vietnamese women, children, and elders huddled together under the watch of U.S. Marine Corporal Dave Taylor from Pennsylvania. The scene reflects the tense and complex interactions between soldiers and civilians in a war zone. This picture shows that U.S. Marines provided aid to wounded Vietnamese civilians during the Vietnam War. Their efforts highlighted moments of compassion amid the harsh realities of conflict. This picture shows that in 1965, civilian Vietnamese women and children walked along a dirt path on a sunny day, passing a staggered line of American servicemen. The image reflects the everyday lives touched by the presence of foreign troops during the Vietnam War. This picture shows that Vietnamese children fled their homes in the village of Trang Bang after South Vietnamese planes accidentally dropped a napalm bomb nearby. The image captures the terror and devastation civilians endured during the Vietnam War. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, a young Vietnamese child refugee stood alone in a road near Hue. The image reflects the innocents caught in the crossfire and the widespread displacement caused by the conflict. This picture shows that during the Vietnam War, a Vietnamese mother hurriedly fled her village with her children as bombs fell nearby. Their escape highlights the constant danger and fear faced by civilians amid relentless warfare. This picture shows that a Palestinian girl stands quietly amid the rubble of her destroyed home in Beit Hanun, Gaza, on May 24, 2021. Her presence reflects the heavy cost civilians bear even after the fighting ends, as families begin the painful task of returning to ruins and rebuilding shattered lives. This picture shows that on October 10, 2023, a wounded Palestinian child injured during Israeli air raids was treated at Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. The image reveals the devastating human cost of conflict and the urgent need for medical care amid ongoing violence. This picture shows that a Palestinian boy stands near a house destroyed by a missile during an airstrike. The scene reflects the widespread devastation faced by civilians and the fragility of life amid ongoing conflict. This picture shows that on October 15, 2023, children in Khan Yunis, Gaza, cried amidst Israeli air raids. Many civilians fled south after Israeli government warnings, highlighting the fear and displacement faced by families caught in escalating conflict. This picture shows that after an Israeli air attack on Khan Yunis, a Palestinian boy sat quietly among the rubble of a destroyed building. His stillness amid devastation reflects the heavy toll of conflict on innocent civilians, especially children.